Welcome to the Time to Fly podcast. It's time to give your business wings and take flight to achieve more impact, influence, and income with unique perspectives, tools, and tips from successful entrepreneurs and business professionals to help your business fly. Here to educate, encourage, and entertain you with their own unique perspectives and experience, plus sharing anecdotes of growing up as cowgirls. Here's your host, Nikole Haumont.
Hello, welcome to this episode of Time to Fly, Give Your Business Wings. I'm your host, Nikole Haumont. Before I introduce today's guest to you, I'd like to take a moment and thank each and every one of you who has taken time to listen to our Time to Fly podcast, share it with friends, or leave us reviews on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. I truly appreciate hearing from each and every one of you regarding what nuggets you take away from each episode and how Jill and I inspire you to give your business wings. Today's guest likes to help people see the sunny side of life. I met Roxanne Lynch through Facebook Messenger. She'd reached out to me asking for help with her WordPress site. We've talked via Zoom, through Messenger, and I've also watched some of her Facebook Lives. Roxanne truly cares about helping people learn how to build a network marketing team in a natural, non-spammy way. She is a great cheerleader for her team and others that she meets. Roxanne and her husband Bob share a big love of motorcycling, travel, backyard gardens, and flower beds, being afflicted with what he calls Gypsy Feet. Running a successful online business is a perfect fit for her busy family commitments and their travel loves. At 43, Roxanne was introduced to network marketing, where she struggled for several years. In the spring of 2015, she was introduced to attraction marketing and applied the formula within social media. She quit her stressful middle management corporate job in the fall of 2017, and her world continues to change for the better. Roxanne is an inspired, compassionate network marketing business owner and cheerleader. She truly seeks to understand the struggle and is extremely creative, helping bring her clients and teammates to what she calls the sunny side of life. Roxanne readily shares out her best tips and tricks to shorten ladies' learning curves, sharing everyday solutions and insights to online business owners. It is her goal to educate and encourage them to show up on social media with a true servant heart and thereby to stand out and shine online. Okay, here we are today with Roxanne Lynch, and we are going to talk about a variety of things related to business and network marketing. But first, Roxanne, when I start an interview, I always ask the same question because everybody is so busy. I think it's just the nature of life anymore. What app or resource do you find yourself relying on over and over again for productivity or to create balance in your life?
I think that my favorite app that I use is just keeping track with my own day calendar and using Facebook Messenger. For me, is being able to bring conversations back up. When it comes to image creation, obviously I do a lot of that, but more and more Facebook's providing the right tools that we need for our business when we're building our own images or our own quotes. It's becoming more of an all-in-one hub where I'm not having to use external apps as much as I used to, where I spend a lot of time on Canva. I spend a lot of time on other programs where I'm finding I don't have to leave that hub very much for the main tools that I need for my day resources.
So you're on Facebook a lot and you also have a blog. How do you merge those two then?
Usually when I'm creating content, something of value, inspiration, goodness, motivation, creating emotional connections with women. There's a written part, obviously, using my own words, my own experiences, and then converting some of that and adding additional research to that topic, creating a live video, and then same thing, intermersing those. So everything usually comes from inspiration and conversations within my team or my environment or my clients. Obviously, being part of some really amazing Facebook groups that are very professional, business building, networking, connecting, communicating, they keep you inspired. There's always something flowing into our brains if we're open for that, and then reflecting on that and putting that onto your blog, intermersing that live video that you've done now on Facebook and repurposing it, whether you're sending it out into your email list, you're putting it to YouTube, or you're putting it connectively with your written works onto my blog. you're repurposing one piece of content around and spreading it out there. Because different people, we take in information differently. Some people are visual, some people are audio, some people want to see images. So it's really important to cover different women's personalities and learning and absorption skills.
You create a Facebook Live, and from there you write out information that also goes onto your blog post. And then I believe you also share your content to YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, obviously you're going to edit out the, hi, Nikole, kind of things when you're greeting people on a Facebook Live. You edit that out for YouTube. But a lot of people don't like Facebook. So you need to have something totally disconnected from that aspects. And I only have my blog, Facebook, and YouTube. That's my 3 main platforms. I believe in trying to connect and monetize, have the biggest impact, getting good at one thing before we start spreading ourselves too thin and get that lackluster results and then feeling frustrated because you're diversifying your time, your energy is just, your scope isn't focused enough to begin with.
So these business tips are great for any business industry: focusing, repurposing content, don't spread yourself too thin. You happen to be building a business in network marketing. Can you tell us more about your initial journey into network marketing and how you got to where you are at today?
Well, first of all, I have to giggle, and anyone who's known me for a long time, I first of all have to make sure that I definitely ask them to forgive me for my beginning years of building a network marketing business, because I know I did it all wrong. And I know I was that salesy, spammy, running my Facebook page like a running infomercial. But that's just what we were taught, right? We were taught to send the same cut and copy message out. We were taught to use the company images. We were just taught, buy one, get one. This is on discount, this is on sale. And basically turning our Facebook profile into a running television infomercial of your product, your company, your business. And I was probably in my very first business about 9 months. And I went to the grocery store and I saw my girlfriend and I smiled and I put my hand up to wave for her. And I know that she's seen me, and she turned around and she walked the other way. And it's like, wow, your face got flushed and tears started to well. I was so embarrassed that something was wrong. I'd noticed that, obviously I wasn't getting engagement on my page anymore. I wasn't getting likes or comments or nothing. Yeah, it wasn't a very, very happy time. So I have to say, I'm sorry about that, guys. You have to live a little and learn a little and experience. And my friend had said hey, you just got to do some reflection, what's working for you. And I just started to be more me. I just allowed the crazy side of me, the Roxanne side of me, the non-salesy, non-spammy, just work on being authentic and more raw, more real, more vulnerable, all those words that we hear so commonly now. But, it takes that break, that shift, that smack upside the head. That's what it takes for that to happen.
So with having that incident in the store, you realize, oh my gosh, this isn't me. It's not working. How did you pivot from that moment? What did you do? I know your style now is completely different from that.
Very much so. I basically took a break because the little blip of credibility that all women innately come with because of your community, because of your circle, we all do have some influence and credibility for the women that we are. So I had a little blip of success, and then it quickly, like I said, diminished and spiraled away. So I actually quit the industry. I actually walked away from network marketing and just began investing in me and figuring out where I really fit within this industry. So I really invested heavily in my education. I spent a lot of money on courses and education, tied myself into a community that was teaching us attraction marketing of who we are innately, and then how are you going to show up online. And I've always been a cheerleader. I've always been an inspirer. I love the underdog. I love the women that is just ready to call it quits and toss in the towel and find a way to connect with them and pour hope and goodness back into them, and then also give them the right things that I was given. As people poured into me and I poured into myself, I was able then to share that forward so they could get more traction with the woman that they were and really move forward. It had to turn it around by embracing a different way of marketing. And that girlfriend walking away from me in the grocery store was the best thing that ever happened.
So with attraction marketing, can you give us a few tips for the new person, or maybe the person who wants to pivot? Give us a few tips on how to be themselves in attraction marketing.
I think you really have to begin digging in within yourself, understanding that where you are right now is a great place to start, and that we have to look at what women really want online. We are really emotional, touchy-feely, squishy creatures inside. Like even the red personalities, even the green learned personalities, we still work and make those inner decisions with that inner limbic brain, where it's like you have to really figure out what emotion connections you can create with women online, because that's where the true decision making comes from. We don't go to the mall knowing we're going to buy another pair of shoes, but something jumps out and attacks us. So what you have to do is create emotional experiences online for your audience, where you're basically showing up in their world and going like, aha, I feel that, or I went through that, or I can connect with that. So if you love something and you're passionate about something, make sure that you're sharing aspects of that. So you're creating those energy feelings, those emotional connections, whether it's your life, your passions, your interests, your kids. Also the times you're banging your head on the keyboard, or also the times where you're having a family situation where parents are struggling, or there's been a death or a sickness in the family. Making sure you're sharing those emotional adventures and journeys, because your audience, your friends, your family are going through the same things. And by you showing up, being you, and sharing your crazy life that's going on, they can connect with that, and they can have those aha moments, and they can place themselves in your shoes. They can make that emotional connection, where when we have that mask of perfection, how can we connect with perfect? There is no such thing as perfect. So we have to be ourselves as much as we possibly can, but still, depending on what facet of the industry you're in, also show up with that little bit of extra professionalism, where it doesn't look like your life is on fire, you're on crazy mode all the time. There has to be some moments of semblance of sanity and togetherness, or people are just the same thing. They're not going to want to join you on this adventure if that's the crazy life that you're constantly portraying.
That is some great advice there. You are a cheerleader for your entire team. I've watched some of your Facebook Lives, and I no longer do network marketing, but I applaud those who do it, and who do it the way you do with the attraction marketing. With everything that you do on social media, how do you plan out what you're doing? Is it spontaneous? Do you have a calendar? What do you do there?
I do have a calendar. I have been really trying hard to move past the sticky note world, just because I know that as you grow as a woman, as your team and your business and your clientele grow, we do need a little bit more structure in the day. And we know if we're not planning, if we're failing to plan, then it truly is, we're planning to fail. So we have to make sure that we schedule certain things that are important in our lives. So whether it is exercise, whether it is attending maybe a special cooking class or a course, whatever you need support in to make that happen, you have to budget that time for it. So for me, that's really important that I do have a plan. But in the same token, I also live in a very world of spontaneity. My husband and I, we're both very spontaneous creatures. And with my business, I love that fresh aspect where I do have like a notebook of different live ideas, or if I'm doing a coaching call or I'm helping onboard a woman within my business, I listen to her past struggles and her pains and her problems. And then I can move that into content, because I know that one woman's problem is not just one woman's problem. There's hundreds, if not thousands of women that are dealing with that same problem. So I get a lot of my content ideas just from listening to women express their frustrations or express their past pains, of what some of their aha moments were. And then I can dig into further research, and I can create content or a live video, or even an inspirational quote using your own images. It's really important to not use the stuff that you're going to find on Google. Go through your old photographs, use your kids' photographs. There's some great images out there that you've captured over the years that will connect with your audience way more than a fact and figure quote, black and white images that people see every day on Facebook. You have to show up differently. You have to stand out and shine online and position yourself in a way that you become visible. Because unless you're visible, it's really, really difficult to grow a business.
That is so true. And with Google, you have to know how to search properly for images that aren't copyrighted. So it is a very good tip to use your own. And nowadays with cell phones, you can capture some pretty amazing images very easily. I know sometimes I just give my phone to my 6-year-old and I'm amazed at what photos we do actually get around the house, up close photos of our dog, things like that. But there are some images there that I can share that he took. So thank you so much for that information on that. Now, with the company that you have chosen to represent now, what drew you to that company?
Ooh, that's a big one. That's actually a really big one, because for me, making sure that it had to align with the woman that I am, with my values, my beliefs, and allow me to be me. There's so many companies out there that they say you can only market this way and this is how we expect you to do it. And within social retail, it allows me to have the flexibility for me to just continue to be me, that the brand that I presented online, which is leading with ourselves, our own value, our own worth, and our own goodness, and trying to make connections and conversations with women and stimulate, good thinking. It had to align with that. So that was the first one for me. I didn't have to start branding a company, or they didn't expect me to be posting 5 times a week on my timeline their stuff. That was really, I didn't want to turn my family off again and have women avoid me at the grocery stores. So that was a huge one, that I could continue building the brand that I am, leading with me. The second one, it had to be something that the whole world is shifting more toward a cleaner way of living. There's so many people out there that deal with allergies. There's asthma, autism, and we know that chemicals and toxins within our home are becoming more and more prevalent. I didn't know that there's thousands and thousands in bathroom spray. You just didn't know. So for me, green and clean was important, where, my son's asthmatic. My husband's got skin sensitivities. So I wanted things that were good for me and my home, something I would use every day. But I discovered how it first came about is I was actually looking for a collagen. I turned 50 this May. And last year when I was 49, I was just feeling that I shouldn't be feeling this old for my age, like the aches and the pains and the joint and the flexibility, the energy. And so I was actually looking for a collagen supplement, and I found one. They have a collagen supplement that has the hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, and the collagen all together in one. So, when people say Roxanne, your hair is just and growing like a weed, and you don't look 50, your skin is glowing. It's you're vibrant, and that comes from the products that I take and reducing the toxins and chemicals within my home. So that was important. The other one was different women have different skill sets. We are not all born salesmen, or saleswomen. We're not all really strong at recruiting. So for me, having a company that offered a dual-sided compensation plan that I could learn something. I am just about to rank on the customer acquisition side, but it's taken me 1.5 years to learn how to communicate my products in a way that I can have sales. I know it's kind of crazy, but I've actually discovered that I'm much more leaned to sponsoring women and empowering and teaching women than I was at sales. But it's something you can learn. But in the meantime, if you never sponsored a person ever, you could still have an amazing business and an income just from sales. Or if you only are strong at empowering and recruiting, helping women get started, you can grow an amazing business. So having those two choices, that dual-sided, was really important to me. They teach other teams social media. They teach other teams and other companies and businesses out there within our network marketing field how to grow a business on Facebook. So I'm plugged into some of the best teachers and trainers that keep us on the cutting edge of what is hot and what is not. So I'm not making the same old mistakes that I made back when I first came into this industry in my mid-40s.
So when you decided to switch companies and you took that break, you looked for one that would let you be you. And I think that's a huge part for any company. That's part of the reason I own my own businesses, is because I've always told people I'm not a good employee. I haven't been a good employee since I was 23 when I started my first one. But it's interesting to also hear you talk about it being clean and green. And of course, the what's in it for other women, they can look younger and have more vibrant hair and skin and stuff too. So that is amazing information there, because that is a big thing, being the authentic you. And you said that earlier, be authentic to who you are. Now, your entire team, you have a team across Canada and the United States. What is your biggest tip for somebody who does want to grow that team side? You said that was the easy part for you. So what's your tips on growing a team?
Well, for within social retail, it's a lot of point and direct. We have what we call a 1, 2, 3 step system, an ATM, which is add, tag, and message. Because we are women, we're crazy busy. We try to be increasing our productivity all the time, and we can't know it all. And, the old school methods of getting on a 3-way phone call or, hopping online, trying to connect 3 women into a Zoom presentation, it isn't functional. So what we've done is we've created some amazing Facebook groups that have thousands and thousands and thousands of women and men too, because we can simply, when we're prospecting, we don't have to know it all. It's like, hey, Nikole, I know that you had shown interest in that post. I wasn't sure if you're just being an amazing cheerleader in my life, or you would actually like some more information about my amazing collagen. Happy to share, but either way, thanks for popping up onto my Facebook feed and in being such a cheerleader in my life. That's not salesy and spamming. That's not chasey. That's not turning a woman away from not wanting to reply to that message. So, if you would say yes, that I would add you, with your permission and tag you to a post. The group does the presentation. I don't have to do the presentation. You see the information. You can scroll around, get lost like Pinterest, and then get the information you want. And a couple days later, I'm going to follow up with you by giving you a message. So it's add, tag, message. So to help women understand that they just have to show up on their Facebook page using curiosity and intrigue, breaking the salesy and spammy stuff. No one really cares right away about the facts and the figures, even the red personalities and the green personalities. They just want to know what's in it for them. So how are you going to show up in the world that you can show them what's in it for them without turning them off by being salesy and spammy and chasey, and allow women just to explore to their own heart's delight at their time, and not painting baby in the corner by being too much pressure, because we get enough of that everywhere else in the world.
So attraction marketing and permission-based marketing.
Yes.
That's what you do. And that is something everybody should do. I know personally, I don't like getting those random messages when I haven't talked to a person for 6 months. I've been there, done that. That was that was like 8 years ago. I totally get where you're coming from, where you were taught that, because I did do direct sales marketing myself for about 10 years. And I never really had success because I was following their system and not allowing my own personality to shine through as much. And I think that's where a lot of people get burnt out, is they're trying to follow the roadmap that's set before them that doesn't allow for any individuality.
And we're not cookie cutters. We are beautiful, unique, wonderful, amazing women. So by having a cookie cutter copy paste or do it this way, you're blocking out so many beautiful aspects of conversation and connection. And that's what women want. I mean, I know that's what I wanted when I left my corporate job in 2015. It wasn't, I was making over $80,000 a year, and I walked away from it because it was stressful. It was toxic. It was absolutely icky. Stress and depression was manifesting where your hair is falling out in handfuls. You're getting adult acne. You've got chemical imbalances because your cortisol levels are through the roof, and unexplained weight gain. I wanted a place where I could be valued and appreciated, feeling connected with that sisterhood. So if you're having to build a business in a way that isn't natural for you and you're not getting what you need, that's how I got pulled to this industry, because my corporate job was so horrible. It was the pockets of time that I was connected with this amazing culture and this community that I knew that's where I had to go. I had to figure out how I was going to do this full time and make that decision for myself.
That is a powerful testimonial, to know yourself well enough and be willing to walk away from things that aren't good for you, even though on paper it probably looked like a not good thing to do.
I told my husband I was going to quit my job, because we've been talking about this. Like, we were both going to quit our jobs and move to British Columbia. We still haven't quite moved. But he thought it was like in the years to come, years to come. But it was 2 days later. But it had to be done. I had to save myself.
So let's go back in your life a little bit. Tell us more about childhood, how you grew up. I know it's an interesting story. A lot of people didn't grow up the way we did. When you were 10 years old, what did you imagine your life like as an adult?
Well, I knew I wanted to be a mom. It's like that was a big thing. It's just, I was born and raised in rural British Columbia. And by me rural, I mean rural. It was 3 miles to the bus stop. I'm not joking. It was a long way to the bus stop. And And I knew that, every time mom and dad would have challenges and there was huge upheavals. We had no running water. We had no power and electricity. We had a well. And when we first moved there wasn't even a house. Like we lived in a tent while dad built the cabin. And we were just country girls. And my little brother, we just had such adventures. And that's what really, every struggle, every pain, every problem, mom and dad would spin it that this is an adventure. And adventures are fun. And there's always goodness at the end of an adventure, right? At the end of any kind of travel or adventure, there's always positivity. So I think just to save our sanity, that's how mom and dad raised us. That this was normal. Like this was just fun. Riding my pony to the bus stop was normal, and that was normal. Like who else? How fun was that? I just love my childhood. And it taught a lot about communication. We were very open with the finances. And I remember my brother wanted to go to the movies one time and dad said we couldn't afford it. So the next payday, dad brought all the money home. We put it all on the table. And then we wrote out little slips of what the bills were. And then at the end of it, there was like $10 left. And mom took that. She goes, that's my bottle of rum. And then so we found out that no, we couldn't afford to go to the movies. But dad would then teach us how we could, which is go find little odd jobs to do for the neighbors and be able to move ourselves forward. So that's led us into my first entrepreneurial business, which was selling worms to the fishermen. So you earned cash from the guys selling worms down the highway. Crazy. I love my childhood. It's great.
So you were taught that every challenge was actually an adventure, which gave you a lot of perseverance from the sounds of it.
Hugely.
And you learned about finances at an early age, which is sorely lacking in most children's lives. Now, after going through grade school and all that, what was high school? Did you attend college? What's the story there?
I still am very much a very shy person and an introvert. Going through junior high and high school, that's when I discovered that, people in town had power and electricity and curling irons in the 80s and big hair. And I had a short pixie cut because the amount of water that you had to pack to rinse and condition long hair just wasn't going to happen in our house. So I was very much a closed person. I enjoyed my books. I was introverted. I spent a lot of time in the library. I wasn't one of the popular girls, and I just spent a lot of time for myself. And that worked for me. It definitely, looking back to my old me, I would have told myself, it's okay to just be who you are. You don't have to hide in the shadows. You don't have to be the wallflower, that it's going to be okay. Looking back on that, I did go to college. I moved to Alberta, went to Olds College for Equine Sciences because I still had a big passion for horses. I very, very much enjoyed that. It was 2 years there. And it was an opportunity to kind of create the next new me, if that kind of makes sense, where you leave your hometown, you leave the preconceived structures and ideas of your friends or your family or high school kids and schoolmates. You got to be the new you by moving to a new town, going to a new school. And that's when I've become a little bit bolder in my voice. I found my voice. I found more confidence in myself because I believed in what I was doing. I loved my courses and I was good at it. So it allowed me to build some confidence and belief in myself.
What did you do after college then? What was up until your networking marketing career?
I met my first husband at college, and so I never made it back to British Columbia, never made it back to my job that I had waiting for me. I had a partnership that was waiting for me. Decided to stay in Alberta, get married, moved to his farm. We had hundreds of cattle, and I very quickly realized I was not going to have my dream job with my horses that I wanted. The finances were just not there for the expenditures to build a barn or an arena. So I just raised really good foundation quarter horses. I was working 1, 2, sometimes 3 jobs to make ends meet because as a farm life, it's a great lifestyle, but not a really great way of living. So I spent a lot of my years prior to getting hired on at the industrial site and allowed me to move into middle management corporate where I was working a lot. And I had my daughter, Chandra, and my son, Nathan, very early in my marriage because I couldn't wait to be a mom. I love mumming. And mum is a verb, so I mum a lot. I mum everything that I possibly can. So this really suited me to move forward into that. At that time, I would I wasn't looking for network marketing because I had a really great paying job and I was everyone's best customer. I remember going to everyone's parties, buying all their stuff, being a cheerleader then, but I wasn't pulled to the industry, didn't have a reason until my job started to spiral into an area that was toxic and stressful and caused me depression.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, we talked about your journey into network marketing and how you are building a team now. Where do you stay up to date in your field? You know, is there a book or a podcast or a magazine that you listen to or read?
For me, where I really stay up to date is tying in. I have a couple leaders within the industry that I follow very closely. And I work my information kind of in a roller coaster kind of way. It's odd, but my husband works night shift. So when he's on nights, that's when I will listen to a lot of audios or podcasts within my network marketing community. And when he's home on his 7 days on, 7 days off, then that's when I'm really content sharing out, if that helps create that balance, because we do need to be plugged in. So like I said, I'm in very close ties with 2 strong Facebook community groups where there's a vast scope of different faceted women with different interests, different passions, different feet in the field. So that keeps me inspired and up to date with certain knowledge. And then also the leadership team that I'm within, they teach other network marketing teams social media. So I know I'm on the in all the time. We get the ahead of the curve. So it allows me to be on that leading edge. And there's no competition on the leading edge because you're always creating it. You're always creating new ways to be sharing and uplifting and empowering and inspiring women.
So Roxanne, thank you so much for sharing today. If people want to connect with you, where do they find you at?
Best place to find me would be on Facebook. I mean, that's the blessings of working from home and a phone is that it's, I'm usually on and off there several times over the day. That's the best way to get a hold of me is through Facebook. Either send me a message through Messenger is the best way to connect.
And it's just search for Roxanne Lynch. Is that correct?
Yes. I've got a smiley face with silvery hair and sunflowers on the image. You can't miss me.
Great. So find Roxanne at facebook.com and search for her in the bar under Roxanne Lynch, and Lynch is Lynch.
So everyone, be sure to join us for our next show of Time to Fly, Give Your Business Wings, and you can find us at our website at timetoflypodcast.com.
A big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Standout Pro. Be sure to get your free gift at standoutpro.com.
Join our fly. Stay informed of all things Time to Fly by subscribing to our newsletter at timetoflypodcast.com. And be sure to tune in to our next show.